my age is pretty tough to do, you know? Hey, Smitty. Alright, so, it has come to my attention that a few of my viewers have had curiosities about what Ultra4 is. And I cannot stress enough exactly how fantastic of a question that is. Man, oh man. First of all, I have this horrible habit of just automatically assuming that everybody I talk to knows exactly what I'm talking about, and it's kind of like I think that everybody already knows the stuff that I know, and I'm kind of behind in catching up, but that's not the case, and it's probably not the case with you either, so be sure to ask your friends and your viewers and your spectators if they understand what you're talking about, because you might be surprised. Back to subject. Ultra4 Racing is a cool event of sorts in its entirety. And I am here to explain to you what Ultra4 Racing is. So, first and foremost, I'm going to go ahead and pull on over YouTube. Over here, or this page, I should say. I'll go ahead and expand it here. And I'm going to go and make my face a little bit smaller. I think maybe I'll move myself down here. There we go. That's the stuff. All right. Maybe make myself a little bit more reasonably sized. Okay, so first things first, there's a lot of information here on the Ultra4 Racing website, but this is more like for the racing series. This is news about the events. This is racing standing points and scoring. This is registration information, tech tips, and rules. You know, stuff along the lines of that. There's a lot of information here. If you're interested in participating, then I cannot recommend enough that you go and visit this website and get your fill. But I'm not here to just say, here's a website, good luck. I'm here to continue telling you what an Ultra4 racing vehicle is. So, going back just a tad, there's lots of forms of off-road racing. We have rock racing, we have rock crawling competitions, we have desert racing, we have dirt track, we have rally racing. You know, there's a large list of stuff that's out there. But in my observation, it seems like the best way to describe Ultra4 Racing is take a desert trophy truck, like a desert truck that races across the desert, you know, 90 plus miles per hour over big, huge sand whoops and rough terrain and long distance, like the Baja 1000. You know, you can use the Baja 1000 as a great example here, but take a Baja 1000 trophy truck, and then you take yourself a competition rock crawler, and so you have a really fast vehicle that goes off-road here, and then you have a really slow vehicle that goes off-road here, but will climb up literal walls. And you take them and you breed them together, and what comes out is an Ultra4 vehicle of sorts. Now, there are different classes in Ultra4, and we'll get to that here in just a second. But, you know, we'll talk here. You know, here we have a bunch of examples of off-road trophy trucks or desert racing trucks. And they come in all shapes and sizes. They have different classes available to them just as well. They have a ridiculous amount of horsepower, as you can see in this particular instance over here. One of their favorite pastimes is not off-road. It's flight, as you can see in this picture here. They have a lot of wheel travel. I mean, you know your jack stand, your regular bottle jack that you would use to pick your car up off the ground and change your tire. Those don't have enough lift distance to actually pick these vehicles' tires up off the ground. And that's just because the tire moves so much. These things have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 2 feet worth of suspension wheel travel in the front, and pretty close to about 3 feet of suspension wheel travel in the back. So those tires move forever. I mean, look at this thing here. So, that's desert racing. Now we turn around, we go to the competition rock crawlers. Now here is, I just saw a picture. This is a fantastic example right here. You know, I mean, nothing got this truck up on top of there other than this truck. This truck got itself up there. Here's another crazy example. And believe it or not, this is not a picture of a failure. This guy's driving like this on purpose. They will climb and crawl and creep over any surface just about, but they'll do it very slowly. Man, it is great to have people call at opportune times just like this. Stop it! So as I was saying, competition rock crawlers, very slow, very sticky. They will climb up a wall just like a spider will. And then desert racing trucks, very fast, not very sticky. They like to be up off the ground quite often, in fact. Now, we take these two styles of vehicle and we're going to put them together to create a very unique race car that does both. Sticks to walls like a spider, flies through the air like an airplane. And that's where we get Ultra4 Racing. Ultra4 Racing is a very unique combination of racing. Usually a racing course that an Ultra4 car will race on will consist of a fast section and a slow section. The fast section being very reminiscent to what you'd call short course racing or desert racing, and the slow section being kind of a lot like what you'd see on a rock crawling course, just not as extreme as the serious rock crawl competitions go. Here's a good picture. In fact, you can see it. Well, that's not a good picture at all. That's tiny. Here's a good picture you can see here with this car on its way down a hill, of course. And of course, you got your plenty of go fast sections and stuff like that. So, an Ultra4 racing car. It is a go fast car. It is a go slow car, and it is designed to be able to switch in between both and then continue to race in a competitive fashion. Very, very interesting vehicles. Now, if I go back over here to the website, there is going to be, let's see, if I click on registration, there is different classes here. I don't know if it says it here. Yeah. Okay, neat. Yeah, it says some stuff there. It's pretty cool. But it'll go ahead and click on the rule book once again. I love looking through this thing. There's a lot of very useful, very good information. So we have multiple different classes that we can race within, and I don't even think that all the race classes are mentioned in this rule book. But first, of course, we have the stock class. The stock class is going to be more of like for the everyday person, such as you and I. Unless you happen to be one of the 4,400 guys watching this channel, then hey, welcome. Nice to have you here. Thanks for watching. But the 4,600 class is going to be more of like your average Jeep guy, your average Cherokee guy, your average, I don't know why I separated Jeep and Cherokees, but there's, your Wrangler guy and your Cherokee guy, Bronco driver, Toyota truck enthusiast that has a chance to modify their vehicle. A lot of these stock class vehicles can be street legal. If you were capable of this, you could drive your race vehicle to the race course, race your vehicle, and if you survive the race, you can drive your race vehicle back to your house. So that's kind of what the stock class is about. There's lots of stuff that's in here. We'll be running through these rules much more thoroughly as we build our machine, but we'll move on from there for now. Modified class. This used to be called the stock modified class, but these vehicles resemble just about nothing of the stock machine that they are built out of. These vehicles have lots of swaps. You can, I think, change out axles. You can change out any engine combination, transmission combination, axle combination. I think there's a few things you have to keep, like IFS vehicles have to stay IFS. I don't remember exactly. I can look through it in just a moment and see. But actually, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and check out suspension. Suspension. Any and all suspension components and configurations are permitted. Providing they meet the, okay, yep, shock absorbers of any make model, okay, yep. Only 2 shock absorbers per wheel are permitted, so you can have a dual shock setup, whether or not your vehicle came with that stock. No shock absorbers shall be over 2.65. Oh, let's see. Manual suspension controls. Independent suspensions are not allowed in the modified class. So you're going to see a lot of axle swaps. Let me go back to page, I think 2 it was, that we were looking at. So, yeah, there's a lot of swaps that's going to happen here. You're going to show up with, say, like a Ford Ranger. It's going to have a solid axle front, Super Duty axle back, probably dual shocks per corner, coilovers, conversion. You're probably going to stuff an LS engine in there because why the hell wouldn't you? These things are pretty dang serious, and they're very, very fast. So the 4500 class is a very serious class. Moving up from there, we have the Legends class. This is a interesting class. They are unlimited class buggies that have retired from the unlimited class. The technology is always progressing, always moving forward, and always advancing, and it's such a case that vehicles will become obsolete in the 4400 class and be uncompetitive anymore. So people will move their vehicle to what's called the Legends class. Now, there is a very serious restriction. They're only allowed to have 1 shock per corner. And you can do coilovers, but they're only allowed 1 shock per corner. But these things are full tube chassis machines. They're much more similar to this image that you see here, but they're going to have a solid axle underneath. They're going to have a single shock per corner instead of the dual shocks. Right there you can see they have the coilover, and they have the independent, bypass shock. The Legends class is not allowed that. So These guys are basically slower 4400 classes, and they do get beat up quite a bit over the course because they don't quite have the suspension components. And I believe they can actually run a trailing arm suspension system, which gives them a mechanical advantage as well, I think. I'm not even going to click on that class because I can't even afford to look at that class, so we're going to not do that. Unlimited class. The rule states pretty clearly there that we're unlimited. I think there are going to be some rules in there, but they're going to usually have hydraulic. Rams will provide the steering. They can have pretty much any engine they want in there, and drivetrain combination. These guys have independent suspension systems, sometimes in the front, sometimes in the back, sometimes on both sides. They are ridiculously fast and ridiculously expensive, and they are the main event of your Ultra 4 competition, typically. And then we have the UTV class. This class is growing a lot, more and more every single year since this was introduced. They are adding more and more into this class, and you can actually see the rules are relatively short for this particular rule set. It's growing so much so that I almost bet that they're going to be splitting this class into kind of like an EMC version versus an unlimited version, but we'll see how that goes. But these things, UTVs, a UTV is a little buggy that you actually will purchase from your local dealership. You can go on over to Honda or Kawasaki or Can-Am or Yamaha. There's many, many, many more, of course, but you can go to your local dealership and purchase one of these things, and just about right out of the gate, it's ready to go. You do have to put a different roll cage on there because the stock roll cage is not a roll cage. It's just a rollover protection device, and it really doesn't protect you from much more than just kind of flopping over on your side. So you do have to do that. So that's the main courses of Ultra 4 Racing. Now, I think that what I'm going to do is try to get myself some B-roll footage, if I can, to help support the information in this video. But that is Ultra 4 Racing. In specific, we are trying to get ourselves over to an event called King of the Hammers. Let me see if I can look that up real quick here. King of the Hammers. Yep, perfect. Yeah, see, lots of people like to do the flight thing. Oh, goodness. Let's see. There's lots of information there, and I haven't clicked on any of it, so I'm kind of worried about doing that sort of thing. So, this is just yet more of that information. Yep. Lots of information there. They were they're doing a great job of keeping things safe this year too. I think attendance was a little bit lower compared to what we're used to seeing, but it was a great event this year. King of the Hammers is an event in Johnson Valley, and it is a very, very big event. It is the biggest Ultra 4 Racing event, if I'm not mistaken, the entire year. Now, these guys go throughout the entire United States, and even there's a course or a racing that happens over in the in Europe. So it's definitely a global kind of a racing thing. But here in the United States, we have the King of the Hammers racing, at this event that happens at the beginning. And then we're going to have other places. Certain motocross parks or certain off-road parks will host the event as well. But Johnson Valley, California, is where King of the Hammers is at. It is a gigantic event. You have, obviously, all these race classes are racing. You typically will have other involved events too, such as the trophy trucks will show up. You'll have bug racing, like VW bug racing. And then you have this gigantic city that just kind of exists called Hammertown. And it is such a cool place. It is really an experience to be had, even if you're not racing. It is just absolutely amazing. And then everybody that shows up, spectator-wise, race participant-wise, volunteer-wise, are just absolutely wonderful people. They clean up their trash. In fact, the place almost seems like there was no racing whatsoever that happened when they go there. I am fully of the opinion at this point, after seeing the way that these people behave, and after seeing the way that other off-road communities that I've been a part of in the past treat the environment around them, I am just about convinced that off-road enthusiasts do more for the environment than any governmental agency or any environmental protest group of any sort ever does. I am almost willing to say, just replace all of those agencies with off-road enthusiasts, and I think that the entire planet will go green in a heartbeat. But with that said, government's pretty darn good at being useless. So I digress. I'm not here to be political at all. So that is what we are looking at there. I don't know if I was able to answer your questions about Ultra4 Racing. The class in specific that we will be racing is going to be the 4600 class. Let me see if I can get you some imagery of that. My enter button is just not working. 4600, sorry. Look at me go. Alrighty, yeah, here we go. This is fantastic. So here's some great examples of what a 4600 class will be. This is a Toyota. It's a Toyota just like what you and I can buy. You can see he did his own kind of custom fab work. I was about to mix those words there, and it was about to turn out not so good. You can see he's got some nice shocks underneath there to help control his suspension a little bit better. But this is just a Toyota with a nice lift kit, some creative custom work. He's got his roll cage on here, as you can see. He had to replace his fuel. You can see just there. I don't know if I can... Let's see if I can open this image in a new tab. And maybe we can seal it. There we go. That's fantastic. Wow, what a beautiful image. So you can see he's got this fuel inlet system. You can see there. He has to replace the fuel tank to meet rule safety regulations. Obviously, he has, you know, a good roll cage kind of built. Looks like this thing's raw, too, which is pretty neat. You have to have a window net because they don't want your hands flying out, you know, in a rollover. Nice little skid pan kind of thing going on. He's actually got an IFS setup, which is really neat. You don't see those too terribly often. But so this is a 4600 class car. This is a vehicle, something like you and I can build. You know, it just takes a little bit of time, a little bit of fabrication, a little bit of patience, and probably a lot of parts because they probably break a lot. Let's see. Here's another great example, except that this guy's broken. Let me go ahead and open that in a new tab too while we're at it. So your wheel's not supposed to do that. That is not how that's supposed to go. But here again, we have a 4600 class car, truck, whatever it is that you want to call it. This guy, of course, obviously you see he built his own full roll cage. He removed the windows like we're planning on doing. He's got a high clearance bumper. You can see he's done some steering upgrades down here. You can see there's a little bit of a truss kind of going on, it looks like, that was bolted on or welded on. I can't tell from here. And then he has to maintain a stock style suspension. So he's got a coil spring and then a high performance shock to control everything with. Like I said, not a feature that you want your vehicle to include, unfortunately. But you can see just in the corner there, yeah, I'm not in the way. In the corner there, you can see a leaf spring, you know, shackle kind of going on. So all that kind of stuff there to help control and operate, you know, that thing the way it's supposed to be operated. Let me go ahead and close this out real quick. See if we can find another fantastic example. Here is, nope, that's not a good example. That looks like 4500 class. Let's see. I think that these guys do pretty good. I think these guys actually finished this year. I'll have to go back and look to be sure. All right, so here's yet another one. This is another Cherokee, and these are going to be very popular. A lot of people like to build these a lot. But once again, you can see, you know, it's a stock Jeep Cherokee, and he's done a lift kit. He's built his own stuff. You can see he's kind of gotten creative with his bumper. It actually probably ties into what looks like maybe an engine cage that's covered inside there. Minimal wheel trimming, I believe. I might be wrong. Because you have to maintain your wheels within a certain amount. You know, again, he's got the high performance shock with a remote reservoir right there. Rear end, you can see, shackle. He's got, again, a leaf spring rear end. And you're allowed to modify that kind of stuff, but you have to maintain the stock style of your setup. Once again, we have another Toyota. These things are also very, very popular. They're slow. They're really slow. This vehicle right here, I would be willing to bet probably produces a absolutely riveting 88 horsepower. Yeah, 2 whole digits. Amazing. But Toyotas have such great and fantastic aftermarket support. He probably has gearing far beyond what I can achieve in my vehicle, and probably due to the lightweightedness, I think, of this rig, he can probably climb a lot better than we'll be able to also. These things are very, very reliable. They have a lot of cool features in their stock setups, and they're a very simple machine to build. I'm very curious about it. See, this is 4600. I'm very curious about it, but they're slow, and their strong suit is that they just simply finish. Which is hard to do in the 4600 class. In the 4600 class, that it's where we plan on building. A lot of times, people don't finish the race. One of the main goals isn't to win. It's to finish the race. you know, as King of the Hammers. So these guys are notorious for doing that. They're very reliable. They definitely have that kind of slow and steady pace. You know, that slow and steady pace is what wins the race. And unfortunately, they are the king of doing exactly that. Let's see if we can find another fantastic example here. I don't see too many people building the vehicle that we plan on building. Huh. Yeah, see, there's lots of Cherokees. People build Wranglers, as you can see. Wranglers are a popular option. Let's see. This is not a stock class car at all. Hell yeah, brother. I don't think that this is going to be a 4600. It is a 4600. Wow, look at this guy. This guy knows how to do it. Check this guy out here. So obviously, once again, even in the 4600 class, not a single tire touching the ground. And that's just the best way to go over rocks. You know, you come up to a section and it's going to be complicated. You stop there, you change your transfer case over just a moment, and you just do this. And that's the best way to go across rocks, in my opinion. But yeah, you can see this guy. He's taken the windows out. He's built himself a roll cage. You can see his fuel cell modification there, which is important for, you know, this racing. He's got a long arm kit, so he's got in this thing, if it's a, I believe it's a JK, which is a newer Jeep. And he's got the suspension modified to have a long arm suspension system. And it's a coil spring setup, so you can see he's got coil springs, then high performance shocks holding it all in place. He looks like that's either a steering stabilizer right there, or it might be a hydro assist. I believe hydro assist is legal in this class, and so that helps out quite a bit. And of course, this guy actually has a co-driver as well. Stock mirrors are gone. You can see you put on some little clamp-on mirrors that you put on the end of your roll cage, and those work fantastic. They're very reliable and very cheap, and they do the job that you need. You know, so all around, this is just a great example of yet another 4600 class car. You know, you make your own tube work, you put it all together, you build a roll cage, you make a sturdy, reliable machine, and then you go and you race. So that's what we got there. Looks like he has a high performance sway bar too, which is interesting. I plan on removing the sway bar in my case. You know, but you know, well, I've been wrong once before. Once again, yet another Toyota. You can see this guy here has a leaf spring. The solid axle Toyotas have the leaf spring front and back. They're very, very, very simple. There's his aftermarket gas tank. Of course, again, he's got the roll cage. It looks like in this case, he's got what's called an exo cage. That's where you build the cage outside of the cab. It gives you, the driver, more space inside the cab. But there's a little bit of argument, you know, between people that build their vehicles when it comes to that sort of thing. So let's see if there's any other great examples here. Here we see not a 4600 class car. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Boop. Open the image in a new tab. There we go. That is a 4400 class car performing a very interesting technique. In this particular case, he has decided that instead of driving all four tires on the ground, he is going to ascend or descend this hill one tire at a time. You know, and that way the slip factor gives him more efficiency, and he's doing better racing there. That's sarcasm in case you didn't know. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. This year I saw some Toyotas that were running pretty good, some newer ones with IFS. That's independent front suspension. So that was looking good. There's all kinds of just great examples here. We will be racing the 4600 class, which is what we're looking at here. Oh, look at this car here. Let's take a look at this vehicle. This one is looking great. That is not a great picture. So here we have a pretty cool vehicle. Again, 4600. This car came with an independent front suspension setup. He has coilovers on there, which I would think would be illegal for the class unless the vehicle came with coilovers from the factory. I don't know this vehicle make and model good enough to tell you whether or not that's the case or not, but you know, it is a pretty cool type of vehicle. Looks like we have a little bit of bump steer kind of going on. You can see the tires kind of not quite as straight as you would prefer them to be in there. But yeah, lots of creative builds. They're absolutely fantastic. So that is the Ultra4 Racing, I guess, information there. It is a mixture of fast off-road racing and slow climbing off-road racing. And there are many, many different levels to allow for many different levels of racers to come and participate. All the way down from the the poor noob people such as myself who don't quite know what we're doing, all the way up to the 4400 class guys who are absolutely incredible fabricators, wonderful engineers, and very intelligent drivers. And it is a difficult race to complete, much less win, for all levels. You know, it is an absolutely difficult thing to do. So here we have a great look at this is actually a short course version. I think I was thanks. This is looks like a short course version. So this is not at King of the Hammers. This is going to be like, say, Glen Helen or maybe some other course of some sort. And they kind of start everybody out on there and get everybody going. Come on. Here we are. Let's see if I can do that. There we go. Yeah, so there we go. Once again, we have a Cherokee there, Wrangler, another Toyota, another Wrangler over there. I don't even know if these are the similar Wranglers going on. Looks like he has his windshield bar missing, but, you know. And then there's another Toyota right there. So you can see Jeep and Toyota are kind of the popular choices here, which makes us dumb because we're not doing those, either of those. That is racing. I don't know if I covered everything there. Let me know in the comments below if I answered it. If you have any specific questions or specific curiosities, I can cover that topic in a next video. And I can hopefully maybe get myself out of that habit of saying every single time I go through a thought. Let me know in the comments below if you have any more questions. Thank you all so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you participate in our quest for the hammers. Goodbye!